The type of glass work most people recognize is hot shop glass blowing, in which molten glass is wound onto a blowpipe and a team of people works together to make large blown or sculpted pieces. Flame working is a lot smaller. It's a more intimate and solitary method of working with glass. Although it's not as popularized as glass blowing, flame working is exploding in both technical and artistic mastery. A friend introduced me to flame working, and I was immediately hooked. I bought a torch, kiln, tools, and some glass, and taught myself to make glass beads by following instructions in a book. When people began asking to buy my jewelry, my husband encouraged me to pursue glass seriously, and I applied to Pilchuck Glass School. Pilchuck was founded by artist Dale Chihuly and is considered the top glass school in the world. I attended summer classes 3 years in a row. The first year, I studied glass blowing with Canadian artist Laura Donifer. The second year, I studied with Robert Mickelson. After I went to Pilchuck the first time, I couldn't really do anything for a year because it's just so difficult. I just didn't learn enough to make anything. The next year, I studied with Shane Farrow. By now, all my years of bead making, my learning with Robert and then Shane, finally coalesced into some workable skills. The second year I went back, I just knew I wanted to make glass leaves. I don't know what that is. I love plants. I love botanical life and flowers and the cycles plants go through. I love that it's nature with nothing to do with us humans and our will and intention. Nature just is. And I love that. And I wanted to make glass leaves. So that's where I started. My early botanical work is not conceptual, it's not intellectual, it doesn't have an intellectual content behind it. Rather, it's visceral, it's experiential, it's emotional. I rarely see people encounter these pieces without having a physical, emotional reaction to them. They have a, and then they reach to touch it. So, that to me, that's not conceptual. That's an experience people have with the work. And my intention has been that to imbue each piece with its own mood, its own feeling, its own life through a combination of colors, shapes, patterns, textures, and that each piece produce for people the feelings, the moods, and the thoughts that I have when I'm in nature. So when I'm in nature, a forest or a garden or the beach, I get calm. My mind, my body get calm and peaceful. And I loosen out of the push and pull that our television and media culture has. And nature returns me to a mood of reflection and appreciation and gratitude. And it reminds me of what matters to me in life, not what television and media say should matter to me. And I believe that works of art can produce that same mood, that same feeling, that reflection, and a return to our humanity. And that's been my intention with the botanical work. When most people think about glass blowing, I imagine they're thinking about hot shop glass blowing with the blazing glory holes and the molten glass on the end of the blowpipe and teams of people moving about. And that has a very dramatic mood to it. That's a dramatic way of working with glass. And flame working doesn't, although we don't have that same sense of drama and action, we have a very intimate relationship with the glass. We hold the glass and work it right in our hands.
I do ask a lot of the glass. Although this type of glass is made to be more durable than other types, it's really tricky cutting out leaves and connecting them to the branches.
Some of the challenges of flame working are simply the difficulty of manipulating the glass into the shapes that we want. Another challenge is working with the colors of the glass. All the color in the pieces is added with glass powders and little glass chips that we add in layers. Each color has its own chemical composition, which reacts in its own way with the gases of the flame, depending on how we mix the gases. So one of the challenges is learning how each color works and how the colors interact together with the differences in the flame. Otherwise, we ruin the colors in the glass. Another challenge is managing the heat of the glass while we're building a piece. Although this type of glass is made to be heated and cooled,
it's tricky to add thin pieces of glass to thick pieces. The thin areas cool faster, which creates cracking around the connections, so that challenge has to be managed.
a lot can go wrong. And we can get a piece all the way finished and think that it's intact when in fact it has little cracks we can't see with our eye. So part of what I do is inspect each piece under a microscope before shipping it out. Recently, something new's begun appearing in my work, which might be described as abstraction or surrealism.
I wanted to move out of merely representing nature into more expressive works. For over 20 years, I've studied philosophy, the philosophies of Martin Heidegger, Dr. Fernando Flores, Carlos Castaneda, and Toby Hecht. I've studied linguistics and about 10 years of spiritual studies, and these are beginning to be a bit more explicit in my work rather than the background. They've been in the background of the botanical work. My studies are really at the heart of everything I do and how I live, from how I raise my kids to the invention of my art. But now it's beginning to be a little more explicit. The first steps in this direction were the botanical pieces with the mixed fruits on one branch. And they moved further into more vibrant colors, and then into imaginary, surreal botanical forms. And these go back to spiritual studies. Some spiritual disciplines believe that there are alternative realities that we can access through spiritual mindfulness and spiritual discipline. So these surreal-ish pieces are my imagination of what botanical life might be in these alternative realities. Art brings new worlds to us, new ideas, new thoughts, and that's been the intention of my work with these botanical pieces, that they bring that mood of reflection and mindfulness that nature offers to me. From here, I want to keep exploring these botanical forms from alternate realities and take them even further. I have ideas for combining botanical life with other natural and human phenomena and life experiences.